We the only thing to talk about. Look inside the eyes of the last Mohican. Survived, you won't last a weekend outside. Seen the pastor tweaking, the sunk his teeth in the rock. His demise later on that evening. You heard the grieving of.
Yo, man. Welcome to Knowing True Ball with your host, Brian Payne. Hey, man, I was supposed to have one of the ball boys on with me today, but due to some issues of recording, just recording our conversations, I have not figured out yet how to get that done without it being blurry, and I don't want to put those guys on here, and the quality's not what it's supposed to be. So that's why my brother Chris is not joining us today. But I'm going to come to you real quick to give you our quick little football Sunday kickoff, and then we're going to keep pushing. I will figure that out eventually so I can have my boys on with me. But let's go ahead and kick off this episode because I don't want it to be too long. But the first thing that we're going to talk about is Daniel Jones because I did not make an episode earlier this week. Man, Daniel Jones, bro, he got benched. Then after he got benched, he got pushed down to the quarterback 3. Then he got pushed to quarterback 4. Then they put him on scout team as a safety. And then eventually released him after he asked to be released. The way the Giants went about this is absolutely terrible. Now, I know a lot of you guys are wondering why did they even bench him in the first place? They benched him in the first place because he has an insurance policy on his contract, within his contract pretty much. I'm calling it an insurance policy. It's called something else, but it's pretty much just a policy. It's just an insurance policy where if he got hurt this season, next season will be guaranteed. Same thing Russell Wilson had last season with the Denver Broncos and why they benched him, even though he's playing decent football for them. So that's what took place, and that's why they benched him, to make sure that he could not get injured on the field, so then they don't have to be locked into paying him that money. The biggest issue with all this is that this is what happens when you guys force to try to pay quarterbacks. Not every team is led by their quarterback. The San Francisco 49ers are not led by Brock Purdy. They are led by Christian McCaffrey and the other skill position guys. The Minnesota Vikings are not led by Sam Darnold. They weren't led by Kirk Cousins. They were led by Justin Jefferson and those skill position guys. And that's okay, but here's the difference. The Minnesota Vikings realized that. They knew that. So they knew how much money that they could pour into that position, but they didn't want to overspend on that position. And that's why Kirk Cousins ended up leaving, going to Atlanta, so on and so forth. And then the Minnesota was just like, we'll just go ahead and roll with a Sam Darnold and a J.J. McCarthy. And look at what happened. The record is still the same of what it would have been if they would have had Kirk Cousins probably. And it's because the quarterback position is not the leader of their team. Hey, you guys, that is okay. That is okay. Your leader does not have to be your quarterback. Do not force yourself to pay him. Because this is the thing with the New York Giants. Daniel Jones wasn't going to go nowhere. Wasn't nobody going to pick him up. Wasn't nobody going to offer him no crazy contract. Nobody liked him but you. You're the only one that liked him. So, you are literally competing against yourself on how to pay this guy. And you went ahead and paid him and let go of the true face of your franchise in Saquon Barkley. And now look at what Saquon Barkley is doing with Philly. Now with Philly, Saquon Barkley is not the face of the franchise in Philly. And that's okay. That is Jalen Hurts. That's fine. That's more than fine. But when you have a face, you got to keep that face. You got to keep it. And if you do let it go, you got to make sure that you get resources back so then you have chances at the apple to replenish that. A la the Dallas Cowboys and some people talking about Micah Parsons right now. I would not trade Micah Parsons. Why? But also I would never sign Dak. That's another team too. Talk about being forcing themselves to be led by a quarterback. Dak Prescott is a good quarterback, you guys. Truly, he is a good quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. He cannot lead your team to a Super Bowl. Now, what he can do, he can be an accessory piece to leading your team to the Super Bowl, a la those early teams he played on. The Dez Bryant teams with Zeke and all those guys. That's the kind of unit that he needs. That's when you have a chance to win the Super Bowl. But when you're telling him to go out there with an offensive line that's not going to produce, you trying to tell him to go out there with the struggles that guys like Patrick Mahomes have seen, guys like Josh Allen has seen, guys like Joe Burrow has seen. Joe Burrow haven't had an offensive line his whole career, and he's still Joe Burrow. Yeah, you tell him to go out there without without offensive weapons that Lamar Jackson has. Like Lamar Jackson, where his best wide receiver is Zay Flowers. That's the best wide receiver he's ever had on his team. That is not CeeDee Lamb. That's just keeping it a buck. And I like Zay, but that's just keeping it a buck. That's my point where, like, some quarterbacks can overcome other positions. Not all of them can. Only the special ones can. And Daniel Jones, he's not a special quarterback. Now, me personally, he should have never been drafted number 6, and so on and so forth. That's a long story that we ain't get into today. But the New York Giants were very disrespectful, moving him to quarterback 4 in the first place, and then making him run scout team. That was very disrespectful. And then now, Giants, y'all cannot go complaining because analysts on various sports news channels are making fun of your situation. You made fun of your situation. That's just keeping it a buck. But now, man, let's go ahead and move on real quick, and we're gonna go into our game reviews of our games of the week last week. We had the Chiefs at the Buffalo Bills. The final score of that game was 21-30. Patrick Mahomes, he was 23 of 33, 196, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 17 rushing yards, and Josh Allen was 27 of 40, 262 passing, 1 touchdown on the ground and 1 in the air, and he also threw 1 interception. The Kansas City Chiefs lost this game, in my personal opinion, because of some silly stuff the Kansas City Chiefs did. When I watched this game, I did not feel like the Buffalo Bills were the better team. I felt like the Kansas City Chiefs made some very, very flawed mistakes. For example, the Chiefs only ran the ball 17 times. That has not been the Chiefs' formula all season. All season, the Chiefs have been running the ball somewhere about 25 to 30 times a game. So now you mess up the time of possession. And in this game, the Buffalo Bills held the time of possession. They had the ball for 34 minutes, leaving the Chiefs to have the ball for only 26. The Chiefs this season have been holding the ball for about 35 minutes a game easy. So the game was flipped. We were forced to play a style that we should not be playing against a team like the Buffalo Bills. That's a really good football team. I thought that they were going to be on a downspin on their defense, very specifically. But, hey, they replenished and they rebuilt their defense very fast. I still got questions about their corners and their safeties. Like guys like Damar Hamlin, like he's an okay safety, but he's not that. He's not what they had. He's not Micah Hyde. He's not Jordan Poyer. So that was my question mark on that team. That's my biggest question mark. Offense was going to be decent just because you had Josh Allen. And then once you pick up Amari Cooper, that now allows you to be the same offense that you once were with Stephon Diggs. Now, what the Buffalo Bills did do that was tremendous in this football game, they converted 9 of 15 third downs and 1 of their 2 fourth down attempts. That is huge, and that's why the Chiefs lost this football game. That's the biggest reason why, and that's all credit to the Buffalo Bills. I'm not taking any credit away from what they did. They went out there, they sought their opportunities, and they won this football game. Josh Allen had a tremendous play at the end of the game, in which these are the reasons why I agree with aggressiveness. They didn't have to go for the fourth down conversion there. I was literally talking to my wife. I was like, babe, would you go for this, or would you kick the field goal and take the points? And then she gave me her answer, and I said back that I agree. And her answer was, I'm going for it. And I said, I 100% agree. I'm going for it too. I have Josh Allen as my quarterback. I have an arguably guaranteed top 3 quarterback. It's just a matter of where do you put him in the top 3, very specifically 2 or 3. And with that being said, I'm putting the game on his shoulders. I believe in winning games with my best players. I ain't giving the ball to no kicker. I ain't giving the ball to no random person. I'm going down with my best players. Big time players got to make big time plays, and that's exactly what Josh Allen did. So that second interception that Pat threw, I don't care about that second one because of the fact that he just was trying to push the ball down the field. There wasn't no true offense. He just trying to get down there as quickly as he can. That is what it is. But for Josh Allen, man, that was a great play. That was a great play. Now, what I do not understand about the Kansas City Chiefs is this. We have played Josh Allen all the time. All the time we play him. we know that he's running that ball. He's not throwing that. Even if somebody was open, he's not throwing that. I'm telling you guys that now. He's not throwing that football, even if somebody was butt naked nasty open. He's not. He's running that because that's how he plays, and that's how he beats us. So I don't know why we didn't have a QB spy. I don't know why we did not make Nick Bolton just spy on the quarterback, drop a safety down into Nick Bolton's place so Nick Bolton could flow with Josh Allen. That would have been your best way to try to stop him on that play. Instead, we just went to a strong zone defense. Hey, the defense did everything correct. Everything was back. Everything was covered. Nobody was open, blah, 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 blah. But you just acted like Josh Allen couldn't run for 2 yards. And then, of course, he ended up scoring a touchdown. The touchdown wasn't necessary. That didn't matter. Once he got the first down, the game was over. But, hey, Josh Allen played a great game. Right now, it's a tie for me between Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson at the MVP. I get into that next episode. But Josh Allen played a stupendous game in that game. Great job, Josh Allen. Great job, Bills. I still think the Bills will not get the number 1 seed. I think the Chiefs are still going to get it. The Bills have a tough 3-game stretch coming up. Starting next week after their bye, they start off with San Francisco off rip. And I want to say there's two other really good games. I cannot remember who they are. We'll get into that next episode. But Buffalo Bills, great dub, great win. Y'all needed that. It boosted your team's confidence. It shows your teammates and Josh Allen himself. We have enough here to get it done. We just got to get it done. Moving on now to the next big game that we had last week. We had the Baltimore Ravens at the Pittsburgh Steelers. The final score of that game was 16-18. Lamar was 16 of 33, 207, 1 touchdown, one interception, and 46 rushing yards. Derrick Henry was 13 of 65 and 1 touchdown. It's very simple, guys. It's very simple. I went back and looked at it. In all of their losses, Derrick Henry's had 13 or less carries in all of them. In all 4 of these losses, only one of them did he average less than 4.5 yards per carry. And that was against the Kansas City Chiefs week 1. Outside of that, he's averaged at, like, all those losses, he still was averaging 4.5 yards or more on the ground. Give him the football. You lose the games when you don't give him the ball. And as the Baltimore Ravens in general, going back to last year, you lose the games when you don't run the football. Their offensive coordinator, Todd Monken, he has Brandon Staley moments. That's what I'm calling it. And I hate to call him that because he's a far better offensive coordinator than what Brandon Staley was as a coach. But he takes these unnecessary risks. You may have been losing in this game, but you never was losing to the point that you could not run the football. Bro, they kicked 6 field goals. The Pittsburgh Steelers did. They won this game off of field goals. You tell me that you couldn't run? You could have easily continued running the ball, pound the ball, do what you got to do. Get Derrick Henry to that 20-25 carry range, and I guarantee y'all win this football game. You know why I guarantee it? Because all the other games y'all did that, blowout wins. All the other games that he touches the ball 18 times or more, you win. It's not rocket science, you guys. And this is why Lamar Jackson cannot. This is why I'm on the side of not giving Lamar the MVP. If you ask me today who to give it to, I'll give it to Josh Allen. And the reason why is because when they lose, talking about the Baltimore Ravens, it's because they didn't give Derrick Henry the football. That's why the games that they lean on Lamar to throw that John, they're losing this year. And it's that plain and simple. It's that plain and simple. In the games that Lamar is throwing the ball only 25, 28 times in the game, Derrick Henry has 20, 25 carries, you win. And win in convincing fashion. But when you don't do that, you lose. Now, here's the flaws of the Steelers. You got to score touchdowns. And now we're going to go ahead and bleed into the Thursday night football game. The Steelers lost to the Cleveland Browns 19-24. And I just got to say for Nick Chubb real quick, we ain't going to talk about the Browns in this win. They just played they played with great effort. But Nick Chubb, man, he got 2 touchdowns this weekend. This last Thursday. That was awesome. That was awesome to see. Those of you that know, Nick Chubb had that terrible, horrific injury, so on and so forth. So it's nice to see him get have a good game in a big game. It's just really nice to see. But Russell Wilson was 21 of 28, 270 and 1 touchdown. The issue that the Steelers are going to have and why they cannot be a Super Bowl contender, in my personal opinion, I do think that they should win their division. I do think that they will get that done. But my issue is them being contenders is that you guys can't score touchdowns. You can't score touchdowns. That's a problem. Now, I will say this. With Russell Wilson, you move the ball a lot more effectively between the 20s. But once you get within the 20s, once the field's shrunken, Justin Fields was better. He was better. Also, Justin Fields was better at possessing the football, meaning you guys held the ball longer than the other team had it. Why? Because Justin Fields could grind out first downs with his legs if he has to. These are the things that they are not going to tell you because they are all just in awe of the deep ball, the highlight plays, things like that. But the quarterback, both of them are actually playing the same level of play. It just looks different. It looks very different. But what Justin Fields did versus what Russell Wilson's doing, the same exact thing. The same thing. It just looks differently, but the effectiveness is the same. And that's why I would go with Justin Fields, because Justin Fields would have continued building on the success that he was building on, and that he could have continued doing this, and he could do everything that Russell Wilson's doing. You just got to teach him. Teach him. Now, the one great thing about having Russell Wilson is that he unlocks George Pickens to a level that Justin Fields cannot unlock him this season. I do think there will be a day that he can unlock him to that. But right now, this season, he cannot unlock George Pickens. But even in that unlocking of George Pickens, you're just telling him to go out there and catch 50-50 balls. It ain't like Russell's doing something amazing. I'm not saying that you go back to Fields. I feel like if you do that, you are really playing with your roster and playing with your team. But my issue is just that I don't think y'all can go far. It's just that plain and simple. I think that defense can win you a playoff game, depending on who you play. But that second round, when you go against the Chiefs or the Buffalo Bills or the Baltimore Ravens or so on and so forth, like those top dogs, I don't think y'all win that game because you just simply can't score touchdowns. That's their biggest problem. Now let's go into this week's games, man. This week, we have, for our important games this week, we have the San Francisco 49ers at the Green Bay Packers. We also have the Cardinals at the Seahawks, and we have the Eagles at the Rams. Notice that I have all of the NFC West teams as our important games this week. Now, the games are going to be good games. The Niners at Packers will be a good game. We're going to see this team without Brock Purdy this week. They're going to have, I want to say his name, Brandon Allen, starting quarterback. Now, Brandon Allen is a decent backup quarterback, but this week we're going to see a heavy dose of Christian McCaffrey and a lot of running from Deebo Samuel this week. If you guys have Jawan Jennings on your fantasy team, I would not play him this week. I do not see them throwing the ball a whole lot. I see them trying to grind this football out. Also, if you got Packer wide receivers and Jordan Love and guys like that, I wouldn't really have high hopes for them. I don't see them possessing the ball for a long time this week. But I got the San Francisco 49ers still pulling this game out. I think that they could handle them on the run in the running game very well. And I think that they still will hold up strong on defense even without Nick Bosa playing. Actually, I'll take that back. I'm lying to y'all. I'm going with the Packers to win this football game. I really forgot that Nick Bosa wasn't playing until I got to that point. Yeah, without Nick Bosa playing, the Packers will win this football game. You got backup quarterback, and Trent Williams may not play also. I forgot that too. He may not play. Nick Bosa's out. They have so much going on. Just like I told you guys, this is just not the year for them. The vibes are off. The vibes are wrong. It's just not the year. It is what it is. I never, like, even in the preseason when I called for them to fall this year, I never said that they weren't a good team. I never said that I thought that they sucked. I simply said things are not going right there, and I don't see how it turns. The trajectory of their team is not good right now. So I got the Green Bay Packers winning that football game. It's going to be a big win for the Packers and a bad loss for the San Francisco 49ers. Moving on to the next game, man, we had the Arizona Cardinals at the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle wins the games that they're not supposed to win, and they lose the games that they should win, and they lose in terrible fashion in the games that they should be competitive in. I think this is one of those games that they lose in terrible fashion. They're going to get pass happy. They're going to forget that Kenneth Walker exists. They're not going to give him the football. Arizona is a very, very physical football team. You don't realize that because their leader is not physical. Kyler Murray, he's a very finesse guy. But this is a very physical football team. And I can see them just running the ball on that defense with James Conner and the boys and just attacking them off and just attacking their offense with physical play. DK, although he is a physical monster, he should be, he doesn't like physicality. It bothers him. Notice in those games where he's getting pressed a lot, bumped and run a lot, and so on and so forth, he loses his attention. He loses attention span. And then eventually he wants to start trying to have a fight and all kind of other stuff. He's a fake tough guy. It is what it is. And with that being the case, I can see the Seattle offense get out of whack. And like I said, I know they ain't going to run the football this game. They just don't want to. I don't know why. They just don't want to get the ball to their best player on offense and Kenneth Walker, but that's just what they like to do. Bad coaching. That's all I can say about that. But the Arizona Cardinals, I'm just going to start respecting them for what they are. They are a decent defense. They are a good offense. They have offensive playmakers in Marvin Harrison Jr. and so on and so forth. Trey McBride, James Conner, Trey Benson. They have guys. They have the horses on offense, and their offensive line is proven to be decent. Moving on now to the next team. Next game. We got the Philadelphia Eagles at the Los Angeles Rams. I got the Eagles winning this game. I don't see a way that the Rams win this game, honestly. The only way I can see the Rams win this game is that the Eagles take way too many chances. Things like going for 2-point conversions, going for it on fourth downs, every single fourth down, it feels like. Those are the biggest issues that the Eagles will have. The Eagles will lose this game if they decide to lose this football game. But the defense has been playing very well for the Eagles. I do not see a way that the Los Angeles Rams are going to run the ball very effectively. And I do not really see a way that the wide receivers are going to get off, mainly because of the defensive line. As well as the defensive line plays, they're going to get to Matt Stafford, and Matt Stafford has not played well at all when under pressure this season. So I'm going with the Philadelphia Eagles. So with that being the case, I got the Arizona Cardinals being the only team winning this weekend for the NFC South, and that's going to be a big deal for them because that gives them, I think, a 2-game lead on everybody else in the division, and they're going to be on their way and on their pace to win this division this year. Moving on now to the game of the week. Our game of the week is actually Monday Night Football, man. We got the Baltimore Ravens at the Los Angeles Chargers. The Baltimore Ravens better win this football game. But this is the thing. I think they might lose this game. I really, really do. I'm really leaning towards the Chargers in this football game. And it's simply because of the fact that I am a believer in the Chargers defense. I am a strong believer in that defense. Whether Khalil Mack plays or not, I'm a strong believer in that defense. I do think that they can stop the run, which hurts me because I got Derrick Henry on my fantasy team, but I think that they can really stop the run. They are a physical bunch, a very physical bunch. And last week when we seen them, the Baltimore Ravens play against a physical bunch, they get away from giving Derrick Henry the football. Now, the biggest issue with this game for the Chargers is that they're coming off of that loss to Pittsburgh. It's not rocket science, bro. If I could look it up and tell that y'all lose every game that y'all do not get the ball to Derrick Henry more than 16 times, everybody else know too. And you know it. Y'all just like not to do it, but you know it. So with that being the case, I can see this game being a heavy dose of Derrick Henry. And if that's the case, Baltimore will win. But that defense in Baltimore is just awful, you guys. It's bad. It's god-awful. That back end is terrible. And the way that Justin Herbert's been playing, he's a top 5 quarterback this year. My top 5 quarterbacks are very, very easy. Patrick Mahomes 1, Joe Burrow 2, Josh Allen 3, Lamar 4, and number 5 was always my question mark, but this year has been solidified by Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert, he's doing a lot with very little weapons at the wide receiver spot. He got Ladd McConkey out here looking like a real wide receiver 1. He is not supposed to be a wide receiver 1. He's supposed to be a 2. That's what he's supposed to be, just like Cooper Kupp was earlier in his career. But, man, Ladd McConkey is making great strides. He got Quentin Johnston, a guy that I was not a big fan of going into his draft last year, looking like that he was worth that first-round pick. Justin Herbert is balling, you guys. He is balling. We need to realize that we have an elite defense with an elite quarterback playing right now and a good running game. This is a real football team. This is a dangerous football team that everyone needs to look out for. So I'm actually going to go ahead and pick the Chargers. I ain't gonna lie, I'm going to pick them. Just like I picked them last week against the Cincinnati Bengals, I'm picking them again this week against the Baltimore Ravens. Now, just a quick summary of all the games that's going on, and I'll give you my picks. We got Kansas City Chiefs going to Carolina to play Carolina Panthers. We got the Chiefs winning that game. The Chiefs are going to blow them out this week. The Chiefs are coming off a bad loss. This is a good tune-up game for them. This is about to be a blowout. Moving on now to the Minnesota Vikings at the Bears. Sorry, guys, I did not write down the point spreads. I apologize. We got the Minnesota Vikings at the Bears. I think this game is going to be closer to what everybody will be anticipating. The Bears' defense is still a good defense. And then you're going to put Jalen Johnson on Justin Jefferson, who is a really, really good corner. So I can see this game being a tough game for the Vikings, but I got the Vikings coming out at the end just because I think that the Vikings defense is too good for the Bears offense to score enough points to beat the Minnesota Vikings. Moving on now, we got the Tennessee Titans at the Houston Texans. I got the Houston Texans winning this football game. The Titans just ain't got enough juice. They just don't have enough juice. And I can see a guy like Nico Collins having a really good day today because it's time for him to have a breakout game now that he got his feet wet last week against the Dallas Cowboys. Moving on now to the Detroit Lions at the Indianapolis Colts. I got the Lions winning this football game, but I think this game is going to be closer than a lot of you think. I think the Colts are going to lean on their running game and running the quarterback a lot, talking about Anthony Richardson. And with that being the case, I see them possessing the ball a lot. If they can convert third downs today, the Lions will be in a dogfight. They will be. But obviously, I'm going with the Detroit Lions to win this football game. I do think eventually they will pull away. I think like the first half and the third quarter will be pretty close, but then eventually they're going to pull away just because the Indianapolis Colts just does not have enough horses to last the whole game with them. Moving on now to New England Patriots at the Miami Dolphins. We got the Dolphins winning this football game. Tua's back is just kind of that plain and simple. The Patriots offense is not explosive enough to keep up with the Dolphins. Moving on now to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the New York Giants. Obviously, we're going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Giants barely know who their quarterback is. Next game, we got the Dallas Cowboys at the Washington Commanders. Commanders are going to have a big game. They're going to blow them out. It's just that plain and simple. This game will not be close. And I actually think that Jaden Daniels is going to try to I think that the Washington Commanders are going to try to get Jaden Daniels to cement that he's the offensive rookie of the year by just letting him go crazy. I can see them literally easily scoring 42 points in this football game. Jaden Daniels having about 3 touchdowns, and they're going to have about three touchdowns through the running game as well. This is going to be a blowout. Do not mess with the Cowboys this week, you guys. Moving on now to the Denver Broncos at the Las Vegas Raiders. We got the Broncos winning this game. The Broncos defense is just way too strong for the Raiders, and the Raiders' pass defense on the back end is still terrible. Next game we have the, and actually the rest of the games I lied. We already talked about. We talked about the Niners and Packers. I'm going Packers. We talked about the Cardinals and Seahawks. I'm going Cardinals. We talked about the Eagles at Rams. I'm going Eagles. And then we talked about the Ravens at Chargers. I'm going Chargers. Hey, you guys, that's the end of this episode. I'm sorry I did not get my bets done this week because I was trying to fool around to try to figure out a way to record, and I got ticked off. I ain't gonna lie to you. Record with my boys. I got ticked off, and I didn't finish doing my homework that I needed to do. But this week, hey, you guys, this week is not as exciting as other football weeks, but we do have some really good games this week. We do have some games like the Ravens and Chargers and important games that's going on for the NFC West. But this should be a week of highlights, though. We're going to see a lot of good highlights. You're going to see Patrick Mahomes have a big day. You're going to see guys like Jaden Daniels have a big day today. Those are the things that I think is going to take place. Hey, you guys, this is Knowing True Ball with your host, Brian Payne. Thanks for watching, man. Hey, like, share, subscribe. Hey, please also subscribe to my boy Hunter's podcast, the Homie Review, where he's going over movies. I can't tell you all the different type of genre of movies that he's going over, but I just want to tell you guys, it's really cool to watch. I tend to watch a lot of them on TikTok, but I need to watch his YouTubes as well. But right now, I'm so indulged in the football season that, like, I call it, quick look at that stuff. But hey, check him out, man. That's my guy. That's my boy. He puts a lot of work into this, a lot of thought, and a lot of effort. Hey, y'all, this is Knowing True Ball with your host, Brian Payne. Peace.